Hey everybody, this is Sean Murphy. Just wanted to give you an update on where I'm at right now as far as my crowdfunding and take some questions and also answer. A lot of people are asking me what I think about the industry and where it's headed, so I'd like to get to that. But first of all, just two orders of housekeeping. One thing is about YouTube. I've been thinking a lot about YouTube, what it means to have a channel, and how I want to host my channel, how I want to use it. I've been listening to a lot of advice. I appreciate a lot of the comments and people telling me what I should and shouldn't do with this. Obviously, I figured out the phone being turned sideways. And I think the most important thing is I want to use this channel to promote my work and to take questions. I'm not looking to be a YouTube star. I'm not looking to lead a cult of personality. I appreciate people want to know what I think about things, but I'm a very much a less is more type of person. I don't like putting my foot in my mouth. I don't like saying things that upset my friends, so I'm very careful about the content I put out there. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it carefully. I want to keep the comment section open because you guys all seem to really appreciate that. If it gets weird or if there's drama, I might turn the comment section off. I'm not really sure yet. Yeah, I'm not here to make money off this channel. I'm not here to dive into drama, into outrage culture, to try to maximize my subs. This is just a professional thing I'm doing to help promote my book, my project, my Indiegogo, which I will be doing, and I'll get to that in a second. But I hope that you can understand, like, I'm not going to use money to buy better cameras. I'm going to use my phone. I'm going to turn it sideways. I'll use Bluetooth, so hopefully I'm a bit clearer, but I'm not going to get into high production YouTube stuff. It's just not my thing, so I hope you can understand that. My job really is to provide comics and content, not to be a radio DJ, so I appreciate you guys understanding that. The second thing is my crowdfunding. When I talk about crowdfunding, sometimes I'll accidentally say Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo. I'm going to use Indiegogo, but when I talk about it, I might accidentally screw up and say the wrong thing, so I mean Indiegogo this whole time. But I will crowdfund 100%. I mean, a lot of the comments were, the biggest comment was, yes, you should absolutely do this. The second biggest comment was, you're insane, why are you asking me? You should absolutely do this. And, that's kind of where I was headed anyway, but, when this whole thing started with the coronavirus and, my first thought was, this is the perfect time to do a Kickstarter. Books are literally not coming out. Diamond is shut down. Stores are closed, so why not? And some of my friends whose hearts were in the right place, and I do appreciate them saying this, were worried about how it might look. And I don't disagree with them, especially at the beginning. I mean, we all were sort of trying to find our footing. But now that, a month has gone by and, other people are getting in on this, I certainly don't think there's any reason why anyone wouldn't Kickstart or Indiegogo. In fact, I think you're going to see a ton of people starting to do this right now because it's the only way for a lot of creators to make money. I mean, if Todd McFarlane, a multi-millionaire, can get $1 million to create a Spawn toy, then I certainly don't think there's any problem with me putting out a book. So thank you everybody for your support. A lot of you mentioned Todd, who's kind of a buddy of mine, so I appreciate you pointing that out to me, and I absolutely am glad I asked everybody. In hindsight, I'm not sure why I needed to be so careful, but I get it, loud and clear. It's going to start. Give me 3 weeks to put it out. I'm looking to launch middle of May. I've got 6 pages done so far, cover. I want to get some colors going so I have a proper presentation to show you. I've got Matt Hollingsworth on colors as always. It was fantastic. I was going to hire someone to do a video and a production team, but with the virus, it's just probably not safe to have anybody over to make, so I'm going to skip the video part for the Indiegogo. Maybe I'll do something like this if it's what you all want to see. And again, I plan on putting out a video like this once a week and trying to take questions. If you have questions for me, you can email me through my website or tweet at me. My assistant runs my Twitter account now, so he can give me the questions, or I can just go through the comments and pick the ones that I kind of see the most. So the point of the video really today is, where do I think comics are headed? Where do I think the industry is headed? And before I answer, I'll say I've never been in comic book retail. I understand Diamond and the history of direct market to some degree. I'm not necessarily the best qualified person to answer this question. I'm obviously on the content side. I'm good with marketing and customer service and reaching out to readers and that sort of thing, but as far as running an actual brick and mortar shop, I've never done that. So I'm happy to be corrected. I look forward to seeing response videos. I didn't realize this was a thing on YouTube. You have these like slap back response videos, which you all seem to like. So yeah, if you agree or disagree, please let me know and tell me where or what I might be missing here. I think the first thing that everyone can agree on is we're gonna have to cut back on titles. Most shops unanimously agree there's way too many comics coming out. Now, in a free market capitalist society, that's what happens. That's what can happen. There's no authority to limit the amount of comics being published, obviously. So it's not like someone can snap their fingers and demand that there are less titles out there. This is obviously what's happening already, with a lot of creators being told to put their pencils down and publishers cutting back. I believe DC has not let anybody go as far as editorial staff and all that. They're firing on all cylinders as much as they can, trying to find a new game plan. But yeah, I think we have to cut back on titles. I do also think that we need a new focus on digital. I think we should figure out a way to lower the cost and double the customers. I am a traditional school guy. I like the smell of paper too, but my niece and nephew don't give a shit about the smell of paper. They like the smell of their iPad. Sorry. I know I'm a boomer. I would love it if I get that for Batman White Knight. If I have 100,000 people spending $4 on a book, I personally would rather have 200,000 people spending $2 on a book. So same money, double the customers. I think that's the safer way to do things. It keeps comics more vibrant. It gets a lot more people through the door, and when comic shops do open up, specialty shops do open up that have Funko Pops and all of the t-shirts and stuff that we like, we will have double the customer base. I think, in my opinion, that's what I would like to see. I never really understood the serialization of comics as a customer. I was never a Wednesday Warrior. I get why some people are, but I just don't know if we can produce so many floppies on so many titles while we're trying to rebuild this thing. I know a lot of comic book shops don't like hearing about digital. I know there was a plan floated out there where if you buy a digital comic, you put in a code, and the shop, your LCS, basically gets a commission on that sale or something like that. I'm not sure what that plan is, or if it recently got voted down or whatnot. I'm not really sure. But I just thought that was an interesting idea, was to do this shop code idea. The third thing that I want to talk about is the European model. In Europe, they don't really focus so much on Wednesday Warriors and floppies. They just go straight to trades. And they go for high production value, hardcover, beautiful colors, something like this. I think this is Italian. And this is, usually it's 44 to 50, 60, 80 pages, and you get one of these a year. So artists and writers have plenty of time to create their content. They're not under the gun like American comic book artists are. They're allowed to take more time. I don't think they get paid as much because they're working a lot slower. But hey, Europeans take 4-hour lunches, so whatever. But I would sort of like to see that European model mixed with the American model, which would mean focusing less on floppies, focusing more on trades. I think shops should probably think about diversifying more, outside of Funko Pops and t-shirts and all that. I know shops don't like hearing me say this, and I always want to do what I can to support shops, and when I have my crowdfunding going, I'm going to have a special tier to help shops. Shops have done a lot of good by me, and I've done a lot of good by them, but I just don't know any way around this, and I sort of think of it like CDs went out of vinyl records went out of popularity for a long time, but they're back. And I would sort of like to see a comic book shop treat comics like high-end vinyl records, the new ones that are coming out. Yes, you can get your favorite band through digital download, but a lot of people love the band so much that they will spend $40, sometimes even more, on a giant vinyl record that has beautiful wrapping, booklets inside, special content. They really want to pay a premium for that immersive experience. I know not all customers are like that. They just want to hear the music so they can go for a jog. But I know that there's a lot of people who do want that trophy on in their bookcase. And I think comics can operate that way in the U.S. as well, which, in my opinion, is sort of what they're doing in Europe. I would say also that I wouldn't just obviously cancel all floppies, but I think it would be interesting to see what if, for DC, for example, what if the highest selling Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman stuff, that still came out as floppies. That way we would be able to retain the culture the comics is selling. And that's something that I don't think a lot of people talk about, is one of the products that comics sells, that books and music stores, that the music industry doesn't quite sell in the same way, is comics are selling a culture. The idea of serialization and having Wednesday Warriors come in isn't just about buying product. It's about sort of meeting with your family, the friends at your comic book shop. And people like to make fun of Big Bang Theory, but I think that show's only done so many things. I think that show's done a lot to help the industry, especially San Diego Comic-Con. But I think that people who come in on Wednesday, they want to talk about Star Wars or Star Trek, and they want to talk about how they love it or hate it, or their thoughts on the new X-Men movie, or whatever it might be. And, their husbands or wives or whatever, kids don't want to hear that shit, so they go to the comic book shop, and that's where they coalesce. And I think it's a super important thing that comic book shops do, and it's a unique characteristic of comics that nobody else really has. So, as much as I say, let's focus on digital, I'm not blind to the fact that we are selling culture here, and I would like to see the industry in the future find a way to retain that weekly culture, that family sort of vibe that we managed to have in shops, which is why I'm thinking, just because we focus more on digital doesn't mean floppies don't come out anymore. I think big, successful floppies, I think some variants and, whatever tricks the industry wants to do, the stuff that they know that's going to sell, should absolutely still come out in floppies, but I don't think it should be a burden on the stores to decide what they should buy. I think it should be a pleasure for stores to want to buy these unique products of the titles that the stores know they're going to sell. I mean, if there's only one Batman book coming out, there'll probably be more if we go to this plan. Comic book shops aren't going to blink twice because they know they're going to sell Batman. Where shops feel the squeeze is when you're asking them to buy stuff that they have no idea who's going to buy it, and they don't even really want to take a chance on one, So I just would like to see that sort of a model happen. I don't know how tenable that is, if it makes sense. I know shops probably are going to be mixed on this. A lot of them have moved over to just selling trades already. One of my local shops only carries a handful of new floppies and mostly focuses on image stuff and a lot of the graphic novels that come out after the fact. So I don't know, this is just food for thought. And I already talked about selling culture. So that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. If there's something I'm missing, please let me know. Yeah, that's all I got so far. So yeah, any kind of topics that you want to see in the future, I'd like to bring my wife in to film me while I'm inking. I know a lot of people want to see me draw and not talk, which I appreciate. Yeah, and I appreciate your support. I will announce my Indiegogo in the middle of May, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you very much for your support.